them here in a day or two or a week, you make a change, but we just feel like to start them out, from day one, let's try them on the back end of the defense, and see if they can have success there.
Go ahead, Joe Giuliano.
Hello, Terry. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. I asked Coach Franklin about signing the three young men from Philadelphia. I had spoken with Coach Johnson of Imhotep a couple of weeks ago, and he said he really appreciated the fact that there was better communication with the city coaches and more of an effort to recruit the kids from the city. And I wondered how you feel your role was in that endeavor.
Yeah, Coach Franklin reassigned our territories over a year ago, and assigned me to Philadelphia. Obviously, the addition of Dion Barnes was a major factor in recruiting that area. What Dion did for us was give us the heartbeat of Philadelphia, to understand, what those guys are thinking, what they need, and to help us manage the area better. And so, just listening to Dion and him, give us that advice, I went to the coaches themselves and, really just confessed that we had dropped the ball in Philadelphia and that, we had to do better in the city limits. And so we made a conscious effort to own our mistakes, and we made a conscious effort to be better. And we got better there. We landed 3 kids. We're happy with those guys. And we're going to continue to pound the streets of Philadelphia and try to get the best kids to stay here in the state.
Let's go to Audrey Snyder.
Terry, going off of that, obviously, I don't recall so many guys raving about someone as much as they have about Dion in the last couple cycles. What do you think his future holds, and how valuable is he to this operation?
Yeah, Dion is a great young talent in this industry. He's a tremendous coach. He's a defensive line coach by trade. He's a great teacher. He's a great communicator. He's a great person. And obviously, being from Philly, he's connected there. He was a high school coach there. He had a business where he was training a lot of guys individually. So, and he was a legend there. He was a very good football player coming out of the city. So his connections and, the people he knows have really benefited Penn State. And, he's valuable to our operation. I'm happy for Dion, and, whether it's this off season or next off season, I'm sure he's going to have a full-time job somewhere. So he's going to be a great coach here relatively quickly.
Let's go to Elton Hayes, and then we'll go to Frank Bodani.
Hey, Terry, how are you doing this afternoon?
Good, thanks.
You mentioned kind of rebuilding those relationships and patching that stuff up in Philadelphia. What kind of goes into that? And how did you all go about making sure that happened and kind of getting that process started?
Yeah, tons of phone calls, tons of text messages, tons of Zoom calls, just direct communication, and answering tough questions. Oftentimes a coach wants to know why we haven't offered their kid, and maybe Texas A&M has offered their kid. We just had to own our mistakes and mend those relationships. And I think over the course of this year, we've done a fantastic job with that. I think our relationships are great. We've offered more kids early than we've ever offered. And I think that was part of the deal, is to get in on these kids as 9th graders and 10th graders. And in some cases, maybe a special talent coming out of the 8th grade, headed into high school, to get in on these guys. So, we're excited about where this relationship with the coaches in Philly are going. And so we're just going to ride this wave and continue to do better and make sure our relationships are transparent, open, and genuine.
Let's go to Frank Bodani and then Audrey Snyder.
Hey, good to talk to you, Terry. Could you just mention one maybe exceptional, interesting, intriguing thing about the 3 Philly kids? something that fans should know about for their future?
Yeah, I'll start with Abdul. I think Abdul is one of the most athletic players in the class. He's kind of a hybrid guy. We're bringing him in as a linebacker. We feel like he can play the linebacker position really well. He's big, he's athletic, he's fast, yet we think he can rush the passer off the edge. So we're excited about, being a dual threat guy, where we can kind of tailor some defenses specifically to his talents. Ken Talley, this guy, when you look at him, he's the heartbeat, and he's kind of going to be what Jesse Luketa has brought to us as the pulse of the defense. I think this guy is going to bring that to us. His energy, his smile, his personality, his tenacity, the dog in him. I think he's going to lay a mark on us that a lot of guys are going to follow suit to him. And then Keon Wiley, I think Keon quietly may be the best player in on the defensive side. This guy's a humble servant. He just doesn't say much. But when you look at the production of his film, this guy gets after it every snap. He plays relentless to the football. When he comes here and we put a couple pounds on him, get him a little bit stronger, I think the upside of this guy is tremendous. And we're just excited about what he brings to the table.
Let's go to Audrey, and then we'll go to John Petishnock.
Hey, Terry, I'm not sure if you have the list in front of you or not, but the 10 early enrollees, do you know that off the top of your head?
I do have the list. So Zane Durant would be one. Drew Allar, Katron Allen, Jerry Cross, Amari Evans, JB Nelson, Bo Prabula, Caden Saunders, and Nick Singleton are the list that I have.
Thanks. Want to make sure I didn't forget somebody.
Let's go to John Petishnock and then Nate Bauer.
Hey, Terry, good to talk with you today.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Hey, wanted to ask about working with Dion Barnes on the recruiting trail. I don't know how much you work directly with him when you're recruiting, but I wanted to ask, how much do you provide guidance to Dion in terms of finding his approach to recruiting? And how much of it is just Dion getting more experience out on the recruiting trail and kind of finding his own way and seeing what works?
So I work directly hand in hand with Dion. So the way we recruit by territory and by position. So Dion will work as a defensive line recruiter with Coach John Scott for all D linemen across the country. And Dion works hand in hand with myself for the city limits of Philadelphia. So I'm working with him hand in hand. He's not allowed out of the office, so he can't go visit schools. He's allowed to text or call whenever we're allowed to text or call, things like that. But we communicate to each other about everything, about all the guys in the city, whether we like them or not. He knows more people in the city. So when we need to find out if a kid is a player, he can make calls to certain people, and they will either stamp the kid or not stamp the kid. And these are people that we trust most. And it gives us an insight to whether we really should hone in on a kid or even in some cases back off of a kid. So, this is a direct communication between he and myself. We're constantly talking. We're constantly on the phone with these prospects together. He's been a valuable member and part of what we're doing.
Let's go Nate Bauer, followed by Joe Smeltzer, followed by Sean Fitz.
Hey, Terry, when your relationship started with the guys in this class, NIL didn't exist. It wasn't a thing. I'm just curious how the conversations changed within this class once that happened, if they changed. And then maybe moving forward, looking at 23 and 24 guys, if it's a bigger part of the conversation for those guys than it might have been for guys in this class.
Yeah, I started recruiting Caden Saunders when he was coming out of 8th grade, going into 9th grade. He came to camp that summer. That was back when I covered the city of Columbus. And, NLI was nowhere to be seen or heard of, or, and now you look at what was offered to the kid that flipped and went to Jackson State. There's $1 million offer for him to go there and do this documentary. So it has changed the game. And we as Penn State, we have to stay ahead of the process, and we have to be able to, we can't directly provide these opportunities, but we have to be able to connect dots where these guys can get their opportunities, because you see the #1 player in the country leave a major university for a HBCU, and that is the sole reason. So this thing's here. We got to adjust to it, and we got to make sure that our guys are able to receive what the expectation is to get NOIs and things that they're worthy of. So we have to adjust to it.
Let's go. Yep, let's go to Joe Smeltzer, followed by Sean Fitz.
Terry, are there any hidden gems, I guess you could say, that you see in this class that kids that might not get the attention that a Drew Allar or Nick Singleton might get?
Yeah, defensively speaking, I kind of honed in on Keon Wiley. I think he's going to be really talented for us. I think he just has something extra that, I don't think he gets the acclaim that he's deserving. And then, I think Cam Miller is another kid. Here's a kid that transferred from a small school in just outside of Jacksonville to Trinity, a traditional power in Florida, and became their best player. Was a two-way guy there, played the Wildcat and played some receiver, and they got him the ball all over the place on a traditional state championship team. Just excited to get these guys here. And, I think Abdul, I think his upside is through the roof. He's going to be, coached by Coach Diaz, and I'm anxious to see his growth. I mean, this guy works as hard as they come. I was watching an interview on him earlier, and one of the comments he made was, he doesn't ever want to take a day off or a playoff. And just that mindset alone just tells you he's destined for great success. So, he's going to work hard, and we're going to get everything out of him.
Hey, Terry, a couple of guys from Florida you signed, Cam Miller you just mentioned, and Zane Durant. First off, Cam Miller, how does he stack up against those corners that you've been bringing in the last couple of years with length, speed, all that stuff? And then Zane Durant, I know you recruited Kevin Givens. That seems like the easy comparison there. How does he compare to Givens, and what do you see from Durant as a player? Yeah, Zane really does compare to Kevin Givens. Explosive, athletic, a tremendous skill set, plays with great effort, plays with great toughness, and a great personality. He's fun to be around. We know this guy's going to come in and work and play hard and buy in right away. We're just anxious to get him here and to mold his body, shape his body, get him a little bit bigger, get him a little bit stronger, get a little bit faster and quicker and twitchier and those things. But we're anxious to get him here, and I think the Kevin Givens comparison is very, very accurate. Hopefully he can have the career of Kevin Givens and surpass it. With Cam Miller, comparing to guys of it in the past, I think Cam is equally talented to a lot of the guys that have come in. I think he's going to come in and compete to play right away. That is the expectation. I think he can challenge for immediate playing time. Always the challenge for all of our young guys is coming in to learn the system. That's the challenge. It isn't usually their talent. It's can they handle the system? And, we'll all go be learning a new system. So it actually levels the playing field for him a little bit more, because now we're learning Coach Diaz's system, which is going to be, modified or slightly different. And, if he can learn it fast, man, I think this guy's going to get on the field soon.
Let's go to T Frank, followed by Audrey.
Zane Durant being twitchier is going to be a sight to see. Terry, how you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
You have a couple safeties. You have 3 safeties right now: Christian, KJ, Makai. Do you have in your mind when you're recruiting guys as, okay, we got our boundary safety, we got our field safety, maybe we got one guy that can go one way or the other? And if that's the case, do you mind sharing where you have those guys earmarked for your system? Or is that all changing because of Coach Diaz?
No, we don't earmark them as a field safety or a boundary safety. We want all of our guys to be able to cover. We recruit all the DBs in that sense that they all need to cover. And then, when we train them here, we cross-train them both field and boundary. That way, we can flip them if there's injuries. You're not stuck. Or so we're going to train those guys on both the field and the boundary. We feel like we got a great group within those 3 guys. Christian, is so talented that we may even start him out at the corner position. Just when we get him here, we'll finalize it, but those guys will cross-train field and boundary. Obviously the boundary corner is going to be a little bit more injected into the run fits. The field corner is a little bit more of a cover guy. But nowadays, when you're playing these teams with the tempo, much like Arkansas, they play with tempo. These guys got to just get lined up on the left and right bases, and sometimes they're in the boundary, sometimes they're in the field. They got to know both.
We have time for a few more. We'll go Audrey, followed by Fitz, followed by John.
Terry, you guys were able to get Manny Diaz in front of this class on Saturday, and try to kind of get these guys up to speed on him. What's been your early impressions of Manny, and what did you know about him before he took the job?
Yeah, I hadn't met Manny prior to him coming here. My early impression, he's got a ton of energy. Obviously, he brings that wherewithal of being a head coach. There's the presence. As soon as he walks in the room, that the guy in charge is in the room, and it's a good thing. He's got a ton of energy. Obviously, he's had some great success as a defensive coordinator. We're excited to have him here. We're excited, obviously to play the bowl game, but excited beyond the bowl game to get to learn his system and how he wants to run the defense, and just contribute to make sure we keep playing good defense. And he's very similar to Coach Pry. He's very aggressive, and we want to stay aggressive. We want to get after guys, and we want to challenge them and be physical and run at the football and punish the football. And that's what Penn State defense has always done, and that's his mindset as well. So we're all going to fit in together, and I think it's a great match. I think he's a great hire. I think Coach Franklin did an outstanding job with his choice, and just looking forward to getting to know him better and better each day.
Sean Fitz, followed by John.
Terry, not your side of the ball, but JB Nelson, Pittsburgh area kid. You recruited him out of Lackawanna. What's your story with him? How long have you known JB? I know he came to camp and things like that, but what's the story behind Nelson? And do you see him as a guy that can come in and push right away?
Yeah, so I knew JB when he was back at Mount Lebanon before he went to Lackawanna. Recruited him there, realized he was going to have to take a detour to Lackawanna, and then picked up the recruitment again while he was at Lackawanna. Obviously, he's a big, long, athletic kid. He had a great year this year at Lackawanna. He's physical. He's got great feet. We're excited about the opportunity for him to be able to come make an immediate impact. Obviously, it's always learning the system. Like I had mentioned about the Cam Miller earlier. If JB can come in and learn the system and learn the checks and, be able to protect the quarterback. At the end of the day, he's got to protect the quarterback and not let those guys get at him. And then, obviously we need a little bit more girth in guys to come off the football and move some guys in the run game as well. So we think he can do that. We think he will do that. We're excited, especially when you get a guy that's a few years removed from high school and you're not going through the high school to college transition. So this guy's already lived away from home and he's got that maturity. So, we've got high expectations for him.
Last question, we'll go to John Petitschnok.
Hey, Terry, going back to name, image, and likeness, I wanted to ask that about within the context of the alumni network, which you talk about often. When you're talking with recruits and their families about name, image, and likeness, how does that conversation merge or interlap with the conversation that you have with them about Penn State's alumni network?
Yeah, we often talk about the networking of our alumni association, and tying things in together. There's so many alumni that are active, that run their own businesses. And as this thing is evolving, we're learning more and more what we can and can't do to help provide information to our prospects and players, so that they can have benefits and get these deals that are out there for them that can help them. You just see across the country, guys are making tens of thousands of dollars and some are making six figures, and on some rare cases, there's guys making seven figures. So, with our alumni association, we want to tie these guys into them. We want, if there's $10 out there for someone to make, we want them to be able to make that $10. And, that's big for us. We've got the largest alumni dues paying alumni association in the world. And we want to take advantage of that with our guys.
Thank you very much, Terry, and appreciate your time, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate having me.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Terry. Thanks,
Terry.
Greg.